Alex, where did you grow up?
I grew up here in Pittsburgh, got Finleyville.
And what did your parents do? What did your dad do for a living?
He was a farmer.
Oh, really?
We had a farm out there in Finleyville. We had 40 cows, 4 horses, a pony, and a bunch of chickens and guinea chickens. And we sold the milk. My sisters milked the cows. And we usually have 5 to 10 5-gallon cans of milk that we sold. And I used to have to go chase the cows in every morning and chase them back out in the field to a pasture, and then go get ready for school. And I had to walk at least 2 miles to school every day.
Where did you go to school?
Mingo School out there in 2 miles from where our house was, in Mingo, yeah.
Was the Depression hard on your family?
Oh, yes. We did more bartering than getting paid. Because he would, we'd thrash, and he'd pay with grain. Say they give them anywhere from 5 to 7 bushels of grain to get the grain thrashed. Yes.
And so when did you join the Army, and how did you join?
No, I was placed in, my mother died in November of '33, and my dad got killed in March of '34. So
how did your dad get killed?
He run a truck off of the highway in El Rama. And it was right after when we had a bad storm and a lot of ice, and he slid off the road. And he had a load of mulch, if you know what mulch is. That's what they make beer out of. And he used to go to McKeesport and get it, and we'd feed it to the cows to get richer milk. Yeah.
So how old were you when your dad died?
When my dad died, I was 9. I had a brother 7 and one 5.
So what happened to all of you?
Well, my sisters, they went housekeeping in Brentwood. And my brother, he went to my neighbor, and he worked on it, and he was only 14 years old. He run our farm for 2 years. He took care of the cows, did all the plowing, cut the hay, and baled it, and he took care of all the animals. But when my sister, she was only 19, and she wanted to get married, and when she got married, they auctioned everything off at a public sale. So my brother went to work for the neighbor, and they put myself and my 2 brothers in a Holy Family Institute in Emsworth. And I was there from 34 until 39.
And what was life like there?
Well, I was bad. I didn't like it, so... But they treated us right. I mean, we had good food, we had good clothes, and everything was good there for an orphan. But after you got 16, you had to leave there. So the nuns took me down to the north side and had me put in a CCC camp, conservation camp. And then after I reached 18, they took me down to the old post office and put me in the Army. And I didn't know nothing about Army.
Tell me about the CCC camp. Where did you go?
I was, they took me from Cumberland, Maryland, and they shipped me over to Wenatchee, Washington. And we cleaned the road 20 foot from the center of the road to the side. And then we cleaned all the parks. And anytime they had a storm, we had to fight fire. And then up in Washington, every time a thunder came, we knew get ready to go to fight fires. And well, we were all kids. I was only 16 then. And to carry a 5-gallon can on your back and spray, I said, that was mighty hard for me, yeah.
And so you were in the CCC for 2 years?
Two years, and as soon as I got discharged, they took me back to the orphanage, and the orphanage and the nuns took me down to the old post office, and they says they want me to put him in the service. They said, what service? Navy, Army, or U.S. Army, Air Force, or Marines? And the nun said, put him in the Army. So
you had no choice in the matter, huh?
no, then I said, where do you want him to go? They said, we can send him to Puerto Rico, Panama, Hawaii, or the Philippines. And the nun said, send him to the Hawaii. That's how I ended up in Hawaii. They took me on a troop ship to Hawaii, and then after we got there, they said, where do you want to go, the infantry or what? I didn't know anything. So they measured me, and I was about that much, over 6 foot. They said, put him in a pack train. So I said, what's a pack train? And my buddy says, that's working with horses and mules. I said, that's where I want to go. Yeah, they took us down there, and I never seen so many animals in my life. And the first sergeant said, Monday you'll be cleaning them. Yeah, so I was in that outfit for 4.5 years. And then when the war broke out, we packed mules on all the island mountain peaks and gun places. And on Diamond Head, there were 3 gun emplacements and a winch on there that I packed, not only me, there was a bunch of us packing cement, sand, gravel, food, and then they brought that winch out, and I had the biggest mule, and they said, Private Dyga's mule, we'll put it on him. So they did. It weighs over 700 pounds. A mule only carries 600. And my buddy, he had the cable on his mule. So when we got it up on the mountain on Diamond Head, he said, hey, how are we going to get it off? I said, just watch me. I loosened the rope and it fell off. So the engineer, we had to build a platform for it, and it's still up Diamond Head. Yeah. And that's how they carry the food up and down. This way they didn't have more mules and men to do that detail. So.
And did you like your work? Did you like being a mule skinner?
Once you got to know your mules, they give you 6 mules, and you, like me, I was just a kid, and we was only getting $18 a month, and we couldn't go no place because by the time they took your choice checks out, your PX checks, your laundry, your theater, you're lucky you got $5. So I never went no place because I was too scared. I was only 18 years old.
Did you like Hawaii?
Oh, I love Hawaii. If I could stay there, I'd stay there. Yeah. That's one of the nicest places in the world. I mean, the weather's always nice. And I said, you don't have to buy winter clothes. You just go like this. Yeah.
Were you in an infantry division or a special unit?
No, our outfit was with the 24th Division. We had two divisions, 24th and 25th. The one I was with was the Foy Leaf, and the other one had lightning through it, the 25th Division. We had two divisions there. We had the 19th Infantry, 21st Infantry, 27th Infantry, 35th Infantry. And the 21st and 19th was in the 24th Division, and the 27th and 35th was in the 25th Division.
And when did you arrive in Hawaii?
We reached there on the 10th of June, 1941. Yeah, and I can remember that just like today.
Sure you could. What do you remember of December 7th, 1941?
December the 7th, that morning I was on stable police. Because my buddy, he was on stable police, so I told the pack sergeant, I said, I'll stay and clean the stalls with him. So we cleaned our 12 stalls, 6 of mine and 6 of his, and waited for the wagon to come down and load the manure on the wagon to let it go to the compost, and the driver unloaded it. Well, that morning we was waiting by the watering trough, and the Japanese come in from Kolikoli Pass 4 at a time, and we was standing there, and the tail gunner was waving at me, well, him and I waved back at him. But about a half hour later, I knew he didn't like us, because that's when he bombed the Wheeler Field. I mean, everything was flying. And all at once, the wagon that took the manure down, the 2 mules and the wagon come back with the guys coming back with a fork. He's carrying it. And I told my buddy, I said, see, Bobek, they didn't like us. Well, then I went in and turned the radio on, and it says, be calm, Pearl Harbor is being bombed by Japanese. I said, what do they think they're doing up here in Wheeler Field? That's when they blasted the Wheeler Field. 156 fighters was bombed, and they were destroyed. And 2, Walsh and Taylor, took off with a P-40. And the Japanese thought that more was going to come. So they took off north back to the carrier. So both pilots didn't even have ammunition, nothing. They was just up there flying around.
When did you realize that this was an attack? Was it when you turned on the radio?
When I seen them bombing Wheeler Field, I went into my room, turned the radio on, and it says, Pearl Harbor is being bombed by Japanese. And I said, what do they think they're doing up here? And then after they did that, they strafed our stables, but there was nothing in them. They thought they were ordnance warehouses. And we had 14 of them. And they're just full of holes. So we couldn't use the hay, we couldn't use the oats. We had to take all the animals up the Kolikoli Pass on the Wynine range of a mountain and let them graze for about an hour, and then bring them back. And that's how, in fact, we didn't get any mail. We didn't get any food. We was eating K rations and C rations from World War I. And then cornflakes, I don't know where they got all that cornflakes. And every afternoon you got a bowl of cornflakes. No mail. My sisters all wanted to know what happened to me. So So they kept sending emails, or we were sending emails to them, but it never went through. We never had cargo planes, only bombers and fighters.
And so what did you do the rest of the day after you found out that this was an attack? What was your battle station?
Well, the veterinarian come up, a full colonel, Colonel Cox, and he says, tie all the mules on a picket line. That's the line that you tie the animals on. So we did, and went back to the watering trough, and the colonel said, now run your hand all over the backs of the mules to see if any of them had blood. Well, we went through all of them. The horse section did the same. The wagon section did the same. And the polo section. None of them was hit. Now, so he told his technician, he says, go down and bring up all the towels that they had. They had small towels that they used for operations. So he said, take the towels and run all over them. And we took the towels and run all over them, nothing. It was just a miracle that none of them animals was hit. So that afternoon, we start moving them all out. I went to school for a trailer, a 40-foot trailer that hauled 22 mules and bales of hay and oats. And then the first sergeant told me, take the racks off. And I said, look, you never asked him why. You just did what he told you those days. So I took them off. He said, now go down supply and pick all the sheets up. Well, what the heck? I said to Sergeant Perry, I said, I can't take a 40-foot float in the stable area. He said, get one of the guys to take a Jeep or a 6-by. So he went and got a 6-by. And we went down there, and the first sergeant was coming down. And I went in there, and I said, Sergeant Yancey, I'm supposed to pick up all the sheets. He said, I'm not giving you no sheets. And the first sergeant heard him. And then he come in, and he said, did you hear what Private Dyga said? He said, yeah, he wanted all the sheets. He said, well, give them. He says, we're moving out. Nobody will be here. He said, Monday's sheet change. He said, nobody will be here. So he gave us all the sheets. And I went down Wheeler Field. There was 28 guys was supposed to load on a troop ship next day, and they never made it. One of the Japanese came from the flight line, hit the second hangar, it rolled over on their tent, and then the one come from the mountain range and hit number one, and they both come down on them. And they burnt to death. 28 men. So the MP come down where he stopped us, and he says, come on, you follow me. I said, where's the sheets? I said, it's in the 6-by. So he said for the 6-by to come up first. So he did, and they wrapped what remains they could find in a sheet. And I took them up to Schofield ball field, and that's where the mortuary, the chaplain, and the police were trying to find the dog tags, but there was no dog tags. They all took them off. So I had mine on because, like I said, I was scared to death. And I slept with mine. I had one on me.
Why did you keep your dog tags on you all the time?
There was an order come out. Everybody keep their dog tags on. That was from the general's office.
Now, did you come under fire on Pearl Harbor?
No, later on, when they start strafing stables.
Tell me about that, strafing the stables. Was anybody hurt?
When they thought after a while, we found out that they thought they were ordnance warehouses. They didn't realize that they were stable areas. And on each end of the stable, 4 guys slept. 2 slept on one side and 2 on the other side. Next to that, there was a room with all the tack outfit. If you know what tack is, that's your saddles, packs, bridles, harnesses. That's where you kept that. And then the next one was where all the hay and oats was. Then the rest of them were stalls. Yeah.
And was anybody hurt on December 7th in those?
Well, all 3 of them guys was killed. I stayed under the watering trough. And I told my buddy, I said, Bobek, stay here until this is all over. I said, look, they're shooting, even hitting the blacktop. So he said, no, I'm going to go in and see what they did. Well, he did. And then all at once, I looked up, the blood was coming out of the bottom of the door. See, it was elevated on one side. So after they finished, I got up, and I went in the room. Taylor, Sturman, and Bobek, all 3 were killed. So I ran up the office, the orderly room, and I told the first sergeant. He cussed me out and told me to get the hell out of the orderly room. So him and an MP come down, and he asked me, where were they at? I said, see that door? I said, see the blood running out of it? He said, can we get in on the other side? I said, yeah. You can go around, had a door on each side. And then he come down, he apologized to me for cussing me out.
So were you were in the stable, and did you hear the planes coming or see them?
Oh, yeah.
To come to strafe?
They come, well, just a little higher than this ceiling. And when they come in, they were shooting all the way through the stables. And the stables were long, right? I'd say they was at least 200 yards long, because all the mules were in there. But they weren't in there then. They were in the corrals. That's when the colonel told us to tie them up on a picket line.
And so when you saw the planes coming, you dove under where did you go?
Before that, I dove under there. I had all my clean fatigues on, and that water trough, it was wet. I was in the mud. But I told my buddy, he come in after I did. And that's when I told him, Bobek, stay here until this is all over with. Because we already knew the Japanese were bombing Wheeler Field and Pearl Harbor.
That must have been terrifying.
It was. I mean, I was just a kid, 18 years old. And I said, when this all happened, you didn't realize what was going on. I didn't even know what war was. And then later on, they made me get a bell horse and take all the mules that we had in the corral up the mountain on the Wynine Range near Colicoli Pass. So that's what we did. And they stayed there until Captain Weaver told us, and Captain Buchanan, they were our commanders, to make sure that none of them was hurt and bring them back in. So they sent one of the guys up, and he told us, put the bell on a horse and take them back down and put them in the corral. My 3 buddies, they were buried at Schofield. And there was over 300 infantry and artillery from up in Schofield were buried there. Then later on, when they opened up the punch bowl, they transferred them all down there. There was over 3,000 put in there. Then what the sergeant did, he made me go down to Rogers Airport. That's the airport right Hickhamfield. Well, right along the shore of Pearl Harbor. And the sailors that they came out of the water, they went and brought them to shore and wrapped them in sheets and loaded them on that 40-foot float. And that's, I took up to 7th Air Force ball field. They had the same outfit, the mortuary, the chaplain, the MPs, and they checked for dog tags. Nobody had dog tags. Now, if you ever go to Hawaii, you go up the punch bowl, it says, U.S. sailor, American, unknown, because they didn't have no dog tags. And they buried them up there. But if you ever went to Hawaii, you want to make sure that you take that trip up to the punch bowl. It's one of the nicest cemeteries in the world. And they even have the Japanese. And there's a reporter buried up there, and I can't think his name. I always...
Ernie Pyle.
That's right. And another one, there was two of them. And that's where they had all the Japanese buried. And that's the one they shot down. And it had on there, Japan unknown.
Did you participate in the burials?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't have nothing to do with them.
So how did life change in Hawaii after December 7th?
I'll tell you, the Japanese were so scared to death. They was bawling that. And they'd bawl any GI. They start loving us, but before that, GI was the last served. So, like I said, now Japanese are friendly over there. There's no problem. But like I said, I can't think of the spy that was going to the universities here in the United States studying Pearl Harbor. And he's the one that directed the pilot to hit the Arizona. And that's when they hit the Arizona around 6:45, or 6:55. Because he was on Fort Island directing them which ships to hit first. And 2 years ago, or maybe 3 years, they had a party for the Arizona survivors. And they asked me to participate, and I told them I want to participate. I said, if you guys were put on that ship, that battleship at 7 o'clock, so they could pull out, them 1,177 might have been saved. I said, I would never associate with you people.
Where did you go then? Where did your division go, and where did you go?
Well, our division, I had to take that trailer and load mules up and take them all around the island and drop them off. And that's where they built gun emplacements on top. And that's where they carried the cement, sand, gravel, food, and water. And that's how the gun emplacements are over there. They're still over there.
So you were helping build the gun emplacements after Pearl Harbor.
I packed mules just like the rest of them, because we were short of men.
Yeah.
Because by the time you divide them up all the way around the island, there was nobody left.
And so when did you then leave Hawaii?
I left Hawaii September the 4th, 1945.
So you were in Hawaii the whole war?
Yeah. Well, anybody in the quartermaster that drove a truck had to go to the pack train and learn how to take care of a mule health-wise. Clean their hoofs, clean their teeth, how to groom them, and make sure that her shoes were just put on, because when you're packing a mule up a mountain with 600 pounds of stuff, them shoes wear off. We took 400 mules one time around the island. That's after we had all our gun emplacements built. So our commander, Lieutenant Dorsey, he was an auxiliary fireman on the island before they drafted him. So he went to the general and asked him if we could take animals around the island. All they're doing now is just getting fat. So he gave him permission, and it took us 10 days. We'd always go one day, usually around 10 miles. And those days you didn't ride. You walked and herded them mules. And we did it like that. And then later on, we take them around the island and replace the ones that we had there that was carrying food up and ammunition to these gun emplacements. So it kept them busy. You go up Diamond Head, you'll find 3 gun emplacements. They call them observatory stations. And the winch that I took up there is still up there, but it's not operating. But we, on Mount Kahala, that's the highest mountain on Oahu, they built a barracks for 30 men, gun emplacement, and radar station up there. And they're still in operation.
So you guys, the Army was using mules right through the end of the war.
That's right. That was our transportation. Because you remember now, they had gas ration, 3 gallons a month. If you started a G 6x, there went your 3 gallon. And rubber was ration. We had 2 guys with cars. They both blew tires out. And not only me, but there was a couple other guys said, let's go to the dump, we'll find some tires. So that's what we did. Cut the bead out, cut the tire, slid it in there, and then put an inner tube in it. You didn't have to worry. You drive all you want.
And so did you like being stationed at Hawaii the whole war?
To me, yes, because I was an orphan. To me, I had 3 meals a day. I had a place to sleep. They give me my GI clothes. You wear a hole in your sock, turn it in, you get a new pair of socks. The same as fatigues. Do the same thing.
Your feeling toward the Japanese, has it changed over the years?
Oh, yeah. That's like when I go to Hawaii, I'm dressed like this. And they asked me to take a picture. I said, how old were you? I said, you weren't even around. And I'd take pictures with them. The attitude changed. They're friendlier, and they'll help you if they can. And I've been going there for 14 years. I missed this year because my daughter-in-law says, you're not going because you're not able.
And why did you start going back to Pearl Harbor?
When I went the first time, and I was selling books and looked out across the harbor, I can remember the day I was over on that side of the island hauling the dead sailors. And most of your sailors were young, some 17, 18, 19. We had one was 14 in our outfit. He just died last December.
14.
Like he said, the recruiter said, can you do this? He did. He said you were in. As long as you had the trigger finger. Yeah. No, it was miserable. the whole 3 months. We couldn't write letters. We couldn't get no mail. Everybody's home worried. Not only my sisters, but the other people. Yeah. But everything changed on the island. Yeah.
How did things change?
I mean, people got friendlier. Now, they don't ship no pineapple, no bananas, no sugar to the United States. All them people are out of work. They're getting all their pineapple, sugar, and bananas from Costa Rica. So them people are out of work. Now, they're supposed to. I don't know. I heard that they're going to put the 7th Fleet from San Diego over there to give them work. And then the Air Force, they're going to take the 3 big bombers, the V-1, V-2, and the V-52 to Hickam. And then they was going to take 2 fighter outfits up at Wheeler, because I know they extended the runways up there for the jets. So I don't know when they're going to get there.
Tell me about coming home from Hawaii in September 1945, and also tell me if you can remember VJ Day.
Yes, I can remember VJ Day. The first sergeant gave me a siren that they used for fires. And he says, when I tell you spin it, you spin it. And we was waiting for war, that the war was over with in Tokyo Bay with MacArthur and the Japanese. And then I spun that thing, and I threw it in the orderly room and ran over to the beer garden, because they had 200 cases of beer just come in. And we celebrated that. Anyone that didn't drink had to take care of the mules. Well, I drank, and I shouldn't have drank. No.
So that was a big party.
That was a big party. And we had a colored outfit in Schofield. They moved us out to Mokulea. We had to build corrals for our mules. And even the colored came from Schofield out to our beer garden. And they brought their beer from Schofield out there. So there's a little more beer. So, no, they had a big celebration. But anybody that didn't drink had to pack mules up the mountain to the guys working up there. Yeah.
So it wasn't long after that you came home.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
That's September 4th. Everybody had so many points. I had 104 points. I just made the list. Then they shipped us back on a troop ship, and they took to Hamilton Field. And then from there, they took us to a camp out at Atterbury. And that's where they sewed that patch of the ruptured duck on our blouses. And I have a same die. There it is right there. Everybody got one of these. Anybody was in during the war.
Explain what the ruptured duck is.
That was a nickname they gave it. So I don't know where they got started with it. But now, a lot of them didn't get it. But I got 2. So, yeah.
And then you came back to Pittsburgh?
I come back to Pittsburgh, and I went working down at Hamilton Glass. You know where that is on 26th Street. Well, I was living in an apartment because I didn't have no place to live. So one day I got up, I got off of work, and I told my brother-in-law, I said, Joe, I'm going down and join the Army. He said, hell, you've been in there 4.5 years. Why are you going back? I said, all I'm doing is eating Campbell's soup. I said, I'm getting tired of all this. I don't have no place to get to wash my clothes. So he said, okay. So I went on down the Victory Building, and that's where they re-enlisted me in there. And that's when I went back to Germany, up to Bremen, and I had a tech sergeant stripe then. And I said to the recruiter, I said, am I going to keep my stripes? He said, yeah. He said, you weren't out that long. So I kept my stripes, and they made me first sergeant and motor sergeant and the mess sergeant up in Aviano, Italy. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, so when was that? When did you rejoin the Army?
I joined it in January.
46?
Yeah, 46. But I was out from September to 46. So we went on to La Havre, France on a troop ship. Then they shipped us up. There was 30 of us. They shipped us up to Bremerhaven, and we was supposed to be with a heavy trucking company, but they were overloaded with allowance for people. So they put us up in a barracks up there on the third floor, and I went down there one day because I was the staff sergeant then, and they said that I was responsible. So I went down and told the first sergeant, I said, we've been up there for 30 days. Look at my ODs. I said, they're so dirty. We don't get no laundry. We don't get nothing. We don't even get a ration. He said, how long you been up there? I said, over 30 days. He says, the guys are all up there so mad. And they said, since I was a staff, I was responsible to get them quarters. So I did, and boy, they got a madder than a hornet when I went and told them that there was 30 guys up there. All they was doing, just laying there. They didn't get no pay, they didn't get no ration, they didn't get nothing. So that's when they made me first sergeant with a labor outfit.
So what was Germany like after you were part of the occupation? What was Germany like then?
Well, Germany wasn't bad after the war. They were all scared. And you know that there was millions of Germans was killed. And the rest of them that was there, they were scared to death of the GIs because we carried a pistol all the time, or a carbine. Yeah.
And how long did you stay in Germany?
I stayed there 2 years, and I met a girl there. I married her, and I was married with her for 64 years before she passed away. She had rheumatoid arthritis. Then 2 months later, my son died in 2005. Yeah.
Did you bring your bride over back to Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
When?
November of 48. Yeah.
And how did she like Pittsburgh?
Well, after she learned how to English and all, she loved it, yeah. Her sister used to come over every 2 years, and that made her happier, yeah. But they're all gone now, so.
And when did you then retire from the military?
August 31st, 1961. Yeah. I went in April 18, 1941.
So you put in 20 years.
I put 20 years, 8 in the Army and 12 in the Air Force.
And what did you do in the Air Force?
Well, I did everything. I was a motor sergeant most of the time. But when I come back, they put me in SAC. And once you're in SAC, you're stuck. And I was out at Vandenberg. See this badge? I installed the missile on the elevator. It went down 260 feet. I went to Martin Aircraft Company to learn how they build the Titan missile and how they transport it on a transtainer. I was satisfied with the service. They were good to me, yeah, and they still are. So you see today, they send a staff car with a staff sergeant to pick me up and could bring me down here.
And so why did you leave in 1961?
Well, see, I was, then my son was 8 years old, and I kept transferring him from school to school, and my wife was crying. She says, "Alec, we got to settle down." So that's why I went in and told the colonel. I said, "I'm retiring." So I went up to headquarters, and they put me in for retirement, and they said that I had 20 years, 1 month, and 1 day. I said, "Move it up 1 month." And then I came home, then I was working down the bank for 23 years. No, I was treated good in my life.
Did you have close buddies in the Army that you remember? Friends?
Oh, Christ, I had a lot of good friends. Because I wasn't way up there then. I had to work my way up. Yeah. But once I met the people, they was really good. Oh, yeah, there's one up in Chicago, was our saddler. He's 96. And him and his daughter went over to Hawaii this year.
And he was a saddler?
He was.
Yeah?
Yeah. He even made leather cover for canteen bottle and canteen cups. He was good. That's the only one I have left out of 200.
So how many were in your section?
We had 65.
65 in your section?
Yeah, we used to parade over in White Oak, up in Brentwood, over by McKeesport. We used to march all over the place. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Alex. This was fun. Thank you.
Okay. I hope I gave you all the information.
You gave us great information. This was wonderful.